How many people are expected for today's meeting? How many?
Hello. Hello, check. Hello. Hello, check. Testing. Hello.
Can you hear me? This is Dr. Jere. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I think कभी मैं अब ऑन करूंगा तब वो तब चलेगा चल रहा है. Just wait for a minute.
आज के कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि माननीय सचिव आवासीय एवं शहरी विकास मंत्रालय श्री वसंत मिश्रा सर, अतिथिगण डायरेक्टर एसपीएस श्री पीएसएन राव सर, चेयरमैन डीओएसी श्री अजीत पाई सर, अपर महानिदेशक नई दिल्ली प्रोजेक्ट विजन श्री पीएस चौहान सर एवं मेरे सभी ऑनलाइन जुड़े हुए साथियों, आज हम यहाँ पे 75 आर्किटेक्चर मार्वल्स ऑफ इंडिया डिस्कोर्स इन अमृत महोत्सव ईयर वेबिनार के लिए इकट्ठा हुए हैं। अब मैं श्री विजय प्रकाश राव साहब से निवेदन करूंगा कि वह स्वागत कर।
माइक ऑन कर लो दीजिए.
Very good evening to all. Opportunity on behalf of Central Public Works Department, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to extend a very warm welcome to our guest speakers and to all the attendees who have joined us online for this webinar. 25 Architectural Marvels of India, a discourse in Amrut Mahotsav year. We will start the webinar with Dr. P.S.N. Rao, Director, School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi, setting the context for the discourse, followed by a presentation of Architectural Marvels 17th year by Mr. Ajit Pai, Chairman of Delhi Urban Art Commission. After which we will have an open house for discussion. Then we will launch the iconic cover challenge, followed by an audio visual competition. The webinar will be concluded with Secretary, Housing and Urban Affairs address, followed by out of request Dr. P.S. Rao to take the webinar forward.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Respected Secretary of Housing and Urban Affairs, the question to Mr. Raji, and architects who are present here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this the 75 are on the anvil, and very rightly so, in the area of architecture and building, there is so much to see and learn from our past. India is actually a huge reservoir of buildings which date back to several thousands of years. India has a huge history, and today India is at the crossroads of change. As we are in the 75th year of Indian independence, and as we look forward to where we need to take the country, we need to take a look at our past and see what has been done over the decades, over the centuries, over thousands of years. What is it that we can learn from our past, and in what can incorporate some of these learnings into the future? Now, if you look at whatever are the remnants, going back to the times of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, and also the recent excavations of Lothal, we find that our ancient civilization, which dates back to several thousands of years, was actually a very sophisticated civilization. And you will find, even in those good olden days, there was a high degree of refinement in the way in which we built. Whether it was our temples, our forts, or any of the other buildings that we had, they all had a particular form which was dictated by several considerations, whether it was the local climate, the local availability of materials, or a very specific function which those buildings had to perform. So if you had high walls and a fortification, it was probably on account of security, or if you had certain kinds of buildings which were meant for the kings, then they were supposed to be very imposing and awe-inspiring, and so on. So form and function were always very cleverly combined, carefully articulated. Art and aesthetics was also very well impregnated into our buildings. So at various points in time, various art forms, and this reflects the rich diversity and tapestry of our culture that we have. And you look at any buildings, whether these are palaces, these may be forts, these may be temples, whatever are these, all these they always had a very high degree of aesthetic merit. And one often wonders, did we really have that kind of a technology? For example, if you look at, for instance, the temples in Karnataka, the Hale-built temples, it almost appears as if they were machine made. They were chiseled out of the granite stone there. So it is really a piece of amazement, something which is wonderful. When you look at, let's say, the cave temples, the carvings in Ajanta and Ellora, and when you see that a temple is carved out of a single rock, you can see that in the past there was enormous amount of skill that was expressed in our ancient buildings. Let's look at the state of Tamil Nadu, for instance. It is so inspiring as you go from one town to the and every one of these buildings, you will find that there is something that is something which you are amazed about as to how plastic can these carvings be. For instance, if you go to the Kalinga group of temples in Orissa, the Sun Temple of Konark, for instance, there's a lot of science that has been brought in to these buildings. For instance, you could tell the time by looking at the wheel of the Konark temple and so on. Or the buildings were so well oriented. So the relationship between the sun and the relationship between certain times of the year, exactly on that particular day of the year, you would go to a particular temple, and then the sunrise would exactly fall in the sanctum sanctorum. So how did all this happen? So there was a great degree of mathematics involved, of art involved, of aesthetics involved, of construction technology involved. When you wonder how you could take tons of stone and then put it in. So very recently, the Ramapha Temple has been awarded the UNESCO status. This is again another temple where you and even in Hampi, for instance, there are chariots made of stone where the 7 notes, the Saptapadi, as it is called in Indian classical music, that can be heard from the stones. So all throughout our history, we find that the architects of the past have done wonders. And in those days, we didn't have all the technology. We didn't, the technology was limited, the materials were limited, everything was limited. But today, in the modern era, you have so many new materials with which you can play. You have a lot of technology. You have a lot of machinery. You can do things much more quickly. The tools, the implements which you can make your buildings. And of course, you have the Islamic influence. You also have the European influence, whether it was the British or the French or whatever. So all these influences are there, and then of course the modern movement is also there. And today, as we take a glimpse into our hoary past, and today 75 years of Indian independence as we stand here, we are inspired by our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji when he's trying to take our nation forward to developing a new India. So what is the aspiration that we as citizens have? And it is in that context that we are looking at this particular competition. What is it that is so iconic that we can create? Our ancestors have done a lot, but what is it that we can create so that in future, the future generations, our children and their children, for hundreds of years to come down the line, are they also going to look at our buildings and stand in amazement and wonder? That is a question, and I think there is a possibility. So India is a land of diversity, and we can certainly, I'm sure, create something which is very, very iconic, and something, the location which I'm sure the details of this competition will come out very soon, and you will get all the details. The location itself is at a very, very important place, and whoever is going to finally be selected in this competition, it's an enormous amount of opportunity for them. They can showcase all their skills, and they can do something for the future generations. So I think this is a great opportunity. I would like to thank the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, particularly Durgashankar Mishraji, for having involved me in this exercise for quite some time. And I'm sure that we will be able to take this forward to a very great extent. I've also received the letter, sir, from you, and we will give very wide publicity to this, to all the architectural fraternity, to our students, and to our experienced members of the community as well. And let us hope that this exercise on which we have embarked, this will give us a truly iconic and aspirational, modern, future-looking Indian building that's going to come up here. So with these few words, I will thank the ministry once again. Thank you.
सर हमें MNDUC की अजीत भाई साहब से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वह वेबिनार को संबोधित।
Good evening to the chair, Durgashankar Mishraji, Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Good evening to Dr. P.S.N. Rao and ladies and gentlemen that have joined us over here, esteemed architects. I echo what Dr. Rao said, that it is a tremendous opportunity right now that we are going to be faced with. And while he's provided us some very, very rich context into the Indian civilization and the opportunities, I'd like to focus right now on actually the occasion. So when we go back and we look at the 75 marvels, we may draw up a list. I think the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs drew up a very interesting list of different buildings. Very broadly, you can see that buildings that have lasted the test of time are built for a purpose. And these purposes have varied over a long period of time. You know, I think we began with sort of the darkest phase, which was the mausoleums. You look at the pyramids, they always reflect the power and capability of that particular civilization at the time. India, of course, has done a tremendous job. When you go back and see our capacity and metallurgy reflected in the, Ashoka pillars, that till today is on a currency note, the capital. But the fact that those pillars have lasted and not rusted, while buildings built 100 or 200 years ago have, is a testament to what was happening back then. But from these, going from mausoleums like the Taj Mahal, going from mausoleums like Humayun's tomb, you'll see it always reflected the capacity and power of the times. It always kept up with what was going on there. From there, we have the triumphal arches. So we have the India Gate, which is a colonial power commemorating the people lost of the country that was there, dominated by them, but still, very marked. We have our version of it now, the War Memorial in Delhi. But you'll see that even this commemoration of people that have died in the service of something is another very important reason. The Vietnam Memorial, all of that in a nation's conscience. But in India also, we have a tradition of looking at that. We also have religion that has played an important role. Recently it's been less marked than other factors. But you go back and you look at the tallest minaret in the world for almost 1,000 years, and it was the Qutb Minar. You also have, the World Expo, which is produced not in India because we haven't hosted it, but you look at things outside of India, which would be things like the Eiffel Tower. You look at the Atomium in Brussels, that become landmarks for those cities. But those have also reflected an aspiration for the future. So today in India, we find ourselves celebrating people that have contributed a lot to the nation, that have also started creating landmarks. We have Sardar Patel's statue, the Statue of Unity, that is symbolic, also the tallest statue in the world. And it's beginning to show that this country has tremendous potential to be setting, to be matching and exceeding certain metrics in certain areas, around that have been achieved around the world. So the capacity is tremendous over here. And the occasion itself, it's not a victory tower. It is not a mausoleum. It is not anything as dark as that. It is eventually celebrating 75 years of democracy, of a new nation, and most importantly today, its aspirations going forward. So we have this rich tradition when we go back and we look at all that India has to offer in terms of craft, in terms of possibilities, in terms of a rich history, as well as current industrial and engineering capacity. So I think it's unprecedented in terms of what we have to choose from, whether it's skilled craftsmanship, whether it is the capacities that this country has built in steel. We are the second largest steel producer. In aluminum, we are the second largest now in the world. So we have developed tremendous capacity in many areas. And like in some of the other icons that we can think of around the world, we have the capacity, unprecedented capacity, to deliver today, drawing from a very, very rich tradition for an occasion that I can't think of that could be more optimistic and that can get as much in terms of resources dedicated to it for the right idea as this resource in the world. I don't believe that there is today an opportunity to create a tower that could. I'm not suggesting that you come up with a tower, but the upper limit is 400 feet. So that is a limit that is tremendous in terms of capacity. You have a site that is one of the oldest sites in Delhi, which is on the banks of the river Yamuna, which has tremendous significance. One of the oldest cities, starting from the Nigambod Ghat, all the way through all that's occurred. So you're in very close proximity to many, many capitals and many, many historic cities. And right here, right on the riverside and close to the central Vista, the power center of the city after so many years and so many capitals of so many different empires, to be able to build an icon like this, I don't think that this potential has existed for a very long time anywhere else in the world. There are powers that have come, powers that have gone, but a tower like this or an opportunity like this to put something there, symbolic more than anything else, that will have a viewing tower, will be having a view that is unprecedented on the number of years of history that it can look down upon, and also look into the future and symbolize our future for, as I think, auspicious an occasion as the 75th year of the world's largest democracy. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on this subject, and I will hand it back over to
सर, मैं ऑनलाइन जुड़े हुए सारे पार्टीज से अनुरोध करूंगा कि ओपन हाउस डिस्कशन के लिए अपने क्वेश्चन आंसर्स
क्वेश्चन आंसर से नहीं, अगर किसी के कोई कमेंट हो, किसी के सुझाव हो, somebody has some suggestion, somebody has some comments on the idea of 75 marbles, architectural marbles of the country in the 75th year of Indian independence. If they have some suggestion, they have, please come up with those suggestions or comments or ideas. Yeah, please. Somebody wants to speak, may just, anybody would like to
Hi, this is Reza
raise hand, or maybe
Hello.
and Dr. Abhay Jere, would you like to say something? Dr. Jere?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So I think it has been covered up. Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Would you like to say anything?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. I think this is an enormous, well-thought initiative which has been launched.
Dr. Gupta, Amrut Gupta sahab, would you like to say something on this? Gupta sahab?
Sir, we are not audible, sir. So can you hear me now?
We can hear you. We can hear you very much. We can hear you.
Yes, sir. So, Abhay, sir, here.
Yes, Abhay,
Sir, we have with us Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe also joining the call, Chairman AICT. I specifically requested him to join this call because the initiative which is launched under your leadership is a phenomenal initiative, and it will have repercussions, or it will have the monument which we are envisaging, will be there for next few hundred years to few thousand Yes, sir. So, sir, we really need to ensure that there is huge participation from across the country. And from that perspective, sir, Ministry of Education, AICT is very, very critical. And, sir, I would request, sir, if Anil, sir, is there and would like to say something, congratulations.
Yeah, Dr. Sasabudde, Dr. Sasabudde, if you would like to make some comments, suggestions, ideas, Professor Sasabudde.
Namaskar, sir. Actually, at this juncture, suddenly Abhay Jere called me up, so I'm not on the same page as what all of you are. So I would like to,
I'll request you to hold on and just listen to others, and then
I would like to listen, and then if there are any comments, I will come back.
yeah, please. Dr. Amog Gupta sir.
हाँ सबको नमस्कार इनफैक्ट डॉक्टर अनिल सहस्रबुद्धे जी को पता होगा कि थोड़ी देर बाद एक मीटिंग और होने वाली है विज्ञान भारती की तो उस विज्ञान भारती में वी आर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट अ मेमोरियल in the name of Indian scientists who have taken part in the freedom movement. अभी तक हम लोग के बारे में परसेप्शन ये है कि साइंटिस्ट सिर्फ लैब में काम करता है लेकिन जब इतिहास को टटोलते हैं तो हमें कई ऐसे साइंटिस्ट के नाम मिले पीसी राय मेघनाथ सरकार जिन्होंने स्वतंत्रता संग्राम में भाग लिया और उन्होंने अपने तरीके से उसका अंग्रेजों का या उस वक्त की सरकार का विवाद किया तो उसके लिए सर हम ऑल ओवर इंडिया लेवल पे स्टूडेंट्स के बीच में एक डिजाइन कंपटीशन करने जा रहे हैं जहां तक आज का कार्यक्रम का सवाल है तो मैं राव साहब को सुन रहा था हालांकि ऑडियो वाज नॉट दैट मच करेक्ट पर मुझे ये लगता है कि हमने जो 75 वर्ष स्वतंत्रता की मना रहे हैं तो तंत्र हमारा अगर 100 अभी नहीं आया और हम इसको पिछले इतिहास में ले जाएंगे तो हमें इस बात को ज्यादा मजबूती से इंगित और चिन्हित करना होगा कि भारत की अपनी विरासत क्या थी पब्लिक बिल्डिंग्स में क्योंकि पब्लिक बिल्डिंग आर्किटेक्चर और स्ट्रक्चर उसको मैं ऐसे देखता हूं इट इज अ बिग फॉर्म which creates a perception about the ability, competence, capability in field of science, material science, structure, arts as well. तो हमारे को और पीछे जाना पड़ेगा 400-500 और आजकल तो हम देख रहे हैं हमारे जो ऐसे स्ट्रक्चर्स खुद आए हैं जो कि 1000-1500 साल पुराने भी हैं तो वी हैव टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम देयर ऐसा मेरा सोच है बाकी सब लोग की सुन करके हम उसमें कोई एक मत हो सकते धन्यवाद
Thank you साहब I think Mr. Kabul wants to say something. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I am really obliged that I am on this panel. India has a real rich heritage and we've seen whatever has been done in the past, it is something, it makes a statement. By doing a historical building or any of these 75 monuments that we have, they were built in an era to, come out somebody or to, position something that the city had arrived, something had been done. And it was an iconic structure that was built. Like if you take the Gateway of India, it was built for the British first emperor that came into India, and it has been there till today. For the proposal that we are looking at, I think we should have the 75 years that we started from till today. We should have a journey that has been, of the 75 years, and India has arrived. So we would like to do something speaks the 75 years from the inception, from the day of independence till today, and where we are going to go. So that's my idea of the entire monument that we should be doing.
Thanks a lot. So now let's request others who are here. I mean, should we have somebody just volunteering, or should I speak the name? Madam Poonam ji, would you like to say something? Poonam ji? No? Something from Snigdha? Snigdha?
Good evening. I'm just looking forward to this competition.
Yes. Would you like to say something, Snigdha ji?
No, thank you. I'm just looking forward to this competition and how it pans out.
Okay, okay, very nice. So, may I request Ruhani to say something? Madam Ruhani? Ruhani Chopra? No? Well, Anurag Singh Gangwar? So you don't have to, I mean, whatever comes to your mind, thinking about, there were two presentations made by Professor P.S.N. Rao and Mr. Pai. They're all very I mean, top level architects. They have with a very wide experience. They made some comments. If you have anything to say on this, there are two parts of this. One is this is on the 75 year of India's independence. We want to select 75 architectural marvels in the country which can be brought out to the public domain. I mean, one attempt has been made by our team in CPWD, but that is not the final thing. So, can we get 75 such architectural marvels which we can record in this year, and that can be, I mean, that can become major discussion point for the and a lot of learning. I mean, as Professor Rao said. So, there one comment on this, and second is something which we are going to launch. That is going to be time immemorial. I mean, there's some icon which we want to do, which will stay there for 500 years, 1000 years, and our future generations are going to see and take aspirations from there. So, any comments, advice? Professor Sasabudde, I think you need to come in here. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you so much, Mishra ji. It's very wonderful that both Rao and Pai have elaborated on some of these issues. When it comes to 75 sites to be recognized or identified during this year, with a history of more than several thousands of years, we have not 750, but maybe 7,500 sites. And some of them are so marvelous, probably they are in such remote areas that we have not even gone there or identified. So I think when we throw open this as a challenge, we will get a lot of ideas from different places, and maybe a committee has a very tough task to identify which of those 75 have to be selected, and we may have to do that. May have to visit those places as well and then try to identify which are those 75. This is one part which is an excellent activity which is undertaken at the end of 75 years of independence, selecting 75 sites. But I think we must also approach United Nations to declare these 75 sites as heritage sites. Because we find that every year they add one or two, depending on the population of the country, but with the size of ours, with the cultural ethos of several thousands of years, we should not be bracketed with the same set of rules as the others. Rather, we must pitch it to the United Nations that some young country, they have per annum one site can be added. India with so much of rich heritage, 135 crore population, we have so many sites. I think one go we must get at least, if not 75, at least 10 of them. So this is another area which ministry has to take up with the United Nations for heritage sites. The third one, what we can do, which will be remembered for a very long time. We say 500 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years is nothing but the monument which will remain. Some of our stone structures in our country, they date back to more than 1,000, 1,500 years, and there is no concrete used. It's a very simple structure. In fact, absolutely beautifully mathematically created structure where with the bonding between stones with no concrete, cement, etc. being used, standing there for several meters height, and still, despite earthquake, despite cyclones, they remain intact. I think some structure which is even taller than that, using stone structure, must be built, dedicated to the nationhood, the unity, humanity. I think some of these concepts can be built into that structure, which is maybe a temple, may not be a temple, but at least the human first, humanity first kind of a structure. If we are able to build, I think that will be not only be important for India, but the rest of the world, which we often say that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam being depicted there.
You seem to be muted, sir. I mean, Dr. Sasbuddhe seem to be muted.
I'm done. You can continue. Say some of the ideas I have thrown, both for 75 structures I identified, and then what needs to be built should reflect our ethos. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam in the form of a huge stone structure, which is so tall, which is visible from a very long distance, but at the same time will remain for thousands of years.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else would like to come in? Madam Surabhi? Vandana? Vinay? Any of one you would like to say? Add anything?
I would like to
Yes.
Yes,
Kabul Sahab.
As Professor Anil said, I think we should do a monument that speaks about the India 75 years, like we started from 75 years ago, and today where we have arrived with all indigenized materials, and the monument itself should speak about the entire journey of India. That's my suggestion.
Okay. Anyone else would like to add anything? Mr. Mahidar? Okay.
Hello, sir. I'm just.
Mr. Mahidar. Yes, Mahidar.
I'm just thinking, sir. I'm just understanding the concept and all. My feeling is we should look at the future. What is India in future? What is our projections? Taking all the concepts here, but the materials will be very challenging for us. The materials, today's material and technology is totally wide open for us, and I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm not able to get the point, sir. Just give me some. I'll get back to you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. So may we have this video? There is a video film which has been prepared by our CPWD team about the today's launch. Maybe he will run this video and then I will summarize that.
Okay.
Meetings from Central Public Works Department. But 2020, design competition was held for the design of the structure for Bharat.
So the video is not visible.
Okay, not visible. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. मीट पता कहाँ लगे?
We are grateful for the incredible participation from students and students who have given their time and energy in this competition.
Can you start from the beginning? Can you start from the beginning? Stop this and start from the beginning. Start from the beginning. Start from the beginning. Yes, now you can start. Is it visible now to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you run it from the beginning, please.
Greetings from Central Public Works Department in November 20. A design
Hello.
competition was held for the design of the
Hello.
iconic structure at Nav Bharat Udyan.
Just,
We have received 126 entries.
madam, not even that.
Not audible. Just stop it. It is not audible. It is not audible. Can you load it again? Can you load it again?
आपके लोगों के साथ कब से फॉलो कर रहा लेटर मेरे को इनविटेशन का आज अभी 1 घंटे पहले 1-2 घंटे पहले
Can I request everybody to mute their mics, please, because people are feeling disturbed. So kindly mute your mic so that you are able to see the video. Thank you. Can you start it? Start from the beginning.
And the architects who have given their time and energy to this competition. I really appreciate the participants who sent this entries, and they can be viewed on the gallery, the website www.cpwd.gov.in. Since we did not find any entry completely in sync with the definition of New India,
So we don't hear anything, sir.
Very good evening to everybody. Is my voice being heard?
Yes, sir.
Is the voice being heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, you just saw the film. So let me first thank everybody who has joined today's this conference on a very, very important subject, that is 75 architectural marvels in the 75th year of Indian independence. When you say 75th year of Indian independence, we are, this Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, this was launched by Honorable Prime Minister in March 2021 for 75 weeks. This was started in Sabarmati, and the whole country, this is, in the last Mann Ki Baat, only this Sunday, Honorable Prime Minister called upon everybody, every citizen, every segment of the society to participate in this Amrut Ka Mahotsav. Amrut Mahotsav, Azadi Ke Ka Amrut Mahotsav. And in this, can we request the architecture and planning community across the country? We have got, now the School of Planning and Architectures. We have got various colleges which are offering courses in architecture and planning. Various bodies of the architecture and planning, regional bodies and the national bodies. Can they work on this and get 75? I 100% agree with Professor Shastrabuddhe when he says that we do not go for 75, but we should go for 7,500. Rather, I will say, why not 75,000? That is also a less number for the country of our size, the country of the variety, the kind of architectural marvels we have got across the country. But the challenge is to select 75, and that itself is going to create a lot of debate and discussion around this. Somebody may say that Taj Mahal is the best. It's one among those 75. Somebody may say no, not Taj Mahal, but Humayun Tomb is the one. This is learning. Once this kind of a discussion happens across the country, and I will request Professor P.S.N. Rao, being the leading, he is the director of our School of Planning and Architecture, which is the top body in the country. I will request him to organize this kind of a discussion around the country. Let people debate this. One list has been prepared by CPWD of the 75, and that is not the list. Maybe out of 75, only 10 are taken or 20 are taken. The balance 55 will come from outside. So there should be a lot of discussion why this and why not this. Then what character of this? How this has become timeless? How this has become aspirational so that others can take lessons from there? This is leading the architectural domain in the time to come. Something which was done 2000 years back, it still has got so much of significance, so much of importance. How that is there, and that has become a learning for the future generations. So, something of this kind, it's a magnum opus, what has been done across the country in the architecture. Can we have that listing? Can that be published in this 75 year of Indian independence? This Amrut Mahotsav goes up to 15th of August 2022. That means we have a time frame of another 1 year exactly, slightly more than a year, maybe 1 year and few more days. In this 1 year, this debate, this discussion, this should come in the public media, this should come in the social media, this should be discussed on the newspaper, in the electronic media. This kind of a discussion led by the architects across the country who feel proud of there's the various things which have been produced in our past, and our past is thousands of years back. It is not only 75 years, but thousands of years back. So what is that we can do? So I will request Professor Rao to develop a kind of some kind of a challenge. So there is a discussion, there is a debate in the colleges, they produce papers, there is a jury which will ultimately come out with something that these are the 75 which are going to there, and let that be published. And along with the 75, others can also be published in some other. So we have all this, and I fully agree with Professor Shastrabuddhe here that whenever UNESCO is doing, only 2 days back they included one of our monuments in their World Heritage Monument. We have got plenty of them. Like I used to be collector of Agra long back, some 24 years back. We had 3 monuments which are, they have been identified as the World Heritage Monument. that is the Red Fort, Fatehpur Sikri, and the Taj Mahal. But there are other monuments in the same city which are equally. I mean, I have been to the various places outside the country, and when I see that, then I find that why not Etmadola? Why not Sikandra? I mean, these are the other monuments which are so good, but is still not part of it. So we can do that with the help of the Ministry of Culture. I mean, we can definitely work on it. So this is another. But the first point is how to identify these and get that learning. The idea is to improve the learning. Once you see it, once you see from that point of the critical point of view, that what is that which is keeping it still current. When Professor Rao mentioned about Hampi, when Professor Rao mentioned about when he mentioned about it, what is that which is keeping it current? Or Konark Temple, something was done more than 1,000 years back. Still, it is in currency. Still, there is things to learn. So, what is that in it which is keeping it current, which is keeping it relevant even today for any architect to learn the concept, and how difficult? I mean, think of it when we have all the technology available with us, whether it is for the material sciences or whether it is for casting things in the material sciences or maybe doing things, all kinds of design we can do. Still, we feel challenged. How people could do such kind of thing which look like machine made, not man made, and maybe 1,000 years back, 2,000 years back, 1,200 years back. So what was that which was doing this? I think this is a very interesting side. And sir, I mean, thanks a lot. I was told that you have taken upon this responsibility. So this will be a good contribution to our domain of architecture and the literature of architecture when we identify these 75 and publish it as the 75 marvels of Indian architecture. This is one. The second one, which the movie was shown, I think I saw one of the comment that we are not able to hear the sound. Maybe we can play it again. But no need of playing it here again. It is going to be on our website right now. I mean, it is already on the website. I mean, www.cpwd.gov.in. On that website, you can go and listen to this once or twice or thrice till you are able to comprehend the whole thing. Here, there is a challenge. And here I am putting a challenge to the whole architect community. And the challenge, let me first acknowledge all those 126 architects who had contributed to the first round of challenge. I mean, I can acknowledge, I have seen all 126 contributions. They are all very good. Absolutely no doubt about it. People have put their mind, people have put their experience and their expertise, whatever the expertise they have acquired, they have tried to design something which is iconic. But I think there was something which was missing. Which we would like to take it again to the community of the architects and the planners to request them, please challenge yourself and create something which is timeless. For example, when we think of the city of Delhi, the first thing which comes in your mind is the India Gate. When you think in the city of Mumbai, the first thing which comes in your mind, not the Mumbaikar, but the Gateway of India. Think of the city of Hyderabad, the first thing which comes in your mind is the Charminar. I mean, these are the monuments which represent that city. Or Paris. I mean, any city, you think of a city and somebody must have seen, that is what comes in your mind. Then other things comes later. They have been representing this city for a long time. Now the challenge is, can we now create the independent India, which is now 75 years, we are celebrating 75 years, with so many architecture colleges. I was in one of your conferences at SPA Delhi itself, and I was told that if the British, I do not remember the name of that organization, if they had not started this community, possibly our architecture was not there. I felt challenged. I mean, we had such a rich architecture and such rich planning, yet we are saying that the British had not done it, we were not been there. No, we are very much there. We were not seeing ourselves, we have started recognizing ourselves. So the challenge is, can we now come up with something, some iconic structure, which will become the identity of the capital of India? which is going to remain, because I and you are going to, I mean, we are all immortal. I mean, we are all mortal. We are going to live for some years. But this monument which you are going to create, it can be of any shape. And this is going to live for 500 years, 1000 years, like today people remember Qutub Minar. People are remembering various monuments. They have lived ages. So this iconic tower, which we are, iconic structure, we have not said tower, we have said structure. This structure is going to remain for so many years, and people of the future generations are going to quote it like we are quoting about other architects or other such architectural structures. So can you do that? This is a challenge to the community. So that is why we have kept all these 126 marvelous pieces which have been produced by our brothers and sisters across the country, not from Delhi, across the country. We have placed this in our website. You can go and see it. They must have put in many hours in developing that, in developing the whole concept. You can read out the whole thing. All that, the complete details are available on our website. Looking for something different which can become timeless. What is that? I have no answer to that. This is what we are looking for, an answer from our brilliant and a very, very creative community across the country. We had only, when this India Gate was made, at that time we had, I mean, Latvian and Baker were there, but they were engaging our local talent. And we hardly had any colleges at that time. Now we have got so many school of planning architecture, we have got so many NITs are there, IITs are there, many other private colleges are there, and many people who have got, I mean, like Professor Pai, Dr. Pai, who has a experience across the globe. He has worked outside, we have seen many things outside. Can we create something for India? Something like this for India. Why are we doing it? You may be aware of the Central Vista development and redevelopment project. The Central Vista was conceived by Latvian and Baker. The team of Latvian and Baker, they are the one who did lot of exercise starting from the year 1911, and they came out by 1916-17. They came out with some design which was done up to 27, 28, up to 30, and ultimately in 31 the whole thing was started. I do not remember the year when this India Gate came, but all these things came from 1917 onwards, like the Parliament came in 1927. And it was never meant as a parliament. It was basically a meeting hall. I can say it was more like a meeting hall, meeting for the princes, meeting for some of the small, some of the democratic structures that have been created. So meeting of such other bodies. It was never meant as a parliament. In fact, when we became independent, we requested Mr. Baker to develop additional space in this parliament so that we can hold our parliament. And that is how initially it was. I mean, I do not know how many of you know that this parliament building used to such a beautiful dome, and that dome you don't see now. I mean, this gentleman from England, I mean from UK, he came out with the design. He added 2 more floors on this. This was only single floor and a beautiful dome. This 2 floors covered the whole thing. The whole beauty has gone. I mean, that beautiful structure. Since I'm dealing with it, I know that how beautiful that building used to be, and it was very good for that point of time. It was very good for that use. But today we are coming with a new parliament building which is going to be there for hundreds of years, and that is going to serve the needs of the independent India. It is going to serve the needs for a new India, an India which has got aspirational India, which now is moving towards becoming a developed India. That is what the new parliament building is coming to be. We are coming with all our, I mean, the Central Vista Avenue. The work is already on, which I have shared on the social media. Some of the works I have shared. The Central Vista Avenue, which is, I mean, this around 1.8 kilometers of either side of the Rajpath, it was in a very shabby conditions. Now it is going to come up something which all of you will be proud of. We are on the other sides, we are going to get, say, the common central secretariat, all the central government offices which are spread across Delhi, not only Delhi, but even NCR. They are all going to come together on one place with a beautiful office complex. That is still not sanctioned, but once this comes up, It will be a beautiful, the whole complex will come as a new kind of thing. I mean, you visit the place from where I'm speaking, Nirman Bhavan, you may not feel this should be the kind of a national office, the office of the central government. Central government needs to operate from place which is much more functionally better. So this is, I mean, many things are coming, things like our National Museum. It is only housed in 30 square meters of built-up space. We are going to put it in 1.5 lakh square meters in the north block, and the south block is going to be refurbished to become a monumental national museum. India of this size, with so much of variety of culture and heritage, requires this kind of a size of a museum. When you feel, I mean, anybody coming from any part of India feels proud of their heritage, they're proud of their culture, proud of their possessions of different kinds, which can be displayed in the new museum. So many things are coming up. I mean, I don't need to. Most of the things are available on the public media, in the social media also. What I mean to say that this whole central Vista is transforming. While we were doing this exercise, we found, I mean, because a lot of exercise was done, a lot of studies were done, we found that when the Luttian and Baker were designing the central Vista, they thought of doing it from ridge to the river. Ridge is the Aravalli Ridge, which is on the west side. On the eastern side is the river Jamuna. So river Jamuna to ridge, that is what they thought of, but they could not make it. Can we now do it? So we thought, let us extend the axis. We cannot break open a lot of things which are already there, but a kind of a virtual axis could be there, starting from the ridge, going up to the river. So on the river, there is a plan of making a new India garden, which is going to give you an experience of the new India. I mean, I hope all of you, I mean, you kindly reflect, just 7 years back, in the last 7 years, there has been a huge transformation, whether it is the clean India, Swachh Bharat, the kind of transformation urban and rural area has done, the kind of, I mean, the skill India, whether it is the digital India, the digital, I mean, we are able to convert this through a lot of robust infrastructure which has been there. There is a startup India, stand-up India. I mean, many kind of a transformative action has taken place, and many things are there. I mean, they are happening. And this is the new India. The new India is where everybody gets a chance to realize their potential, do their best, so that this country becomes Atmanirbhar. This country raises its economy level from 3 trillion to 5 to 10 trillion to 20 trillion dollar economy. We become a developed country when we celebrate the 100 years of Indian independence. So this is what is, I mean, this is what we deserve. This is what we want, and this is what is happening. So in this new India garden, which is going to be on the bank of river Jamuna, apart from many things, one thing which is being planned is the iconic structure. And this iconic structure is going to take the most important place in that new India garden. There will be a place where we are going to showcase our culture. There is going to be a place we are going to showcase our science and technology, where we have made so much strive. But this iconic tower is something which will, I mean, to the rest of the world, they can come and experience India from there. So that is why the viewing gallery, what is being shown, is something. Delhi, there is not a place where you can go and from there you can see the whole of Delhi. You go to Tokyo, you go to London, you go to any place, you have such kind of a viewing gallery. In Delhi, we don't have. Fortunately, as per the restrictions of airspace regulations, we have got allowed height of 134 meters. If you have 134 meters, and we found that even if you go 90 meters, from there you can see whole of Delhi. I mean, that's the exercise our CPW team has done. So anything more than 90 meters, or maybe even 75 meters or something, I remember 75 meters. So from the 75 meter, you can see all these things. So it is your view, what is that you can do, so that people can view whole of Delhi from there and experience Delhi from there. Then this structure becomes something which during the daytime, nighttime, seasonal change, all these things, it is going to remain. Whether it can be steel structure, it can be structure in stones, it can be anything. Just an imagination. I mean, as mentioned by both the great architects sitting on my either side, they mentioned about India's expertise on the material sciences. Something which was done by Ashoka. Think of it, Ashoka was in BC. Something which was done in BC, it still remains, I mean, unrusted. It doesn't get rusted. So, I mean, is something which was done by, I mean, this slave dynasty in the form of Qutub Minar, is still that pillar remains, that whole thing remains intact there. Despite we had so many, I mean, many natural and as well as, I mean, the environmental vagaries, but still it remains there. So, can we do something of this kind? The challenge will be, it is going to be right next to the river Jamuna, which is full of water. It is a sandy soil. So you have to be mindful of the place, mindful of, I mean, this, once this is developed, there is already the government is working on how to make Jamuna a clean river. Once that become a clean river, and on that side, this iconic tower there, it's going to be a beautiful place in the city of Delhi, in the capital city of Delhi, which all of us and our future generations are going to be proud of. So, I mean, why I am saying so? Because this, I would like you to think over it. We have given you 3 months time. Starting from today, the challenge starts from today. It is going to be there till the registration is up to 18th of October. The final entry is received on 19th of October, and thereafter assessment will be there. So my request to everybody, I mean, the one is, sometimes the creativity comes from where you do not know. So my request to all the I mean, the associations of the architects and the planners, and the institutions of the architects and planning, and the individual architects who are, I mean, this is again, we have not put any kind of restriction. You could be the topmost architect in the country. Other than Bimal Patel, anybody can participate because he is there as a part of our Central Vista. All others, other than Mr. Bimal Patel, who is himself architect, other than him, everybody can participate. So this is like, it's open to everybody, irrespective of age, irrespective of experience. You can come out with a bright idea, which can become the national symbol, which can, I mean, the ultimate, I think the test of this is that people in across the globe should start associating Delhi with this kind of architecture. This architecture, like whenever you think of Delhi, you think of this architecture. That is the kind of the challenge which the architect and the planning community has. We'll organize various workshops. I'm requesting Mr. Vijay Rao, with the help of others, to organize such kind of discussion. We'll be very happy if the people from Northeast, people from the Southern India, people from the Western India, from Kashmir, everywhere. It is not a participation for the local area, and any kind of assistance you require, any kind of help you require, any kind of information required. So there is an email address. We have put in a back team in a manner so that within 24 hours you will get the reply. Somebody will call you up or somebody will mail you and give you all that information you need so that you are able to do things freely. So it can be individuals, it can be a group, it can be a cross group. I mean, something like, say for example, I am a product of IIT Kanpur and I passed out in 1983. IIT in 1983 is a group which we connect across the globe. I mean, this is the condition here is Indian. You should be Indian. So if somebody is Indian, let's also add the what is that? No, this is citizens of Indian OCI, overseas citizen of India. They are also Indians. So let's also add that OCI. If somebody is OCI, because a lot of people across the globe who are there, they could also today, in today's world, they can do the planning across the globe. Somebody is sitting in Sydney, somebody is sitting in Hague, somebody is sitting in New York, and somebody is sitting in Bangalore, somebody is sitting in Kolkata. All four of them can connect and they can work on this thing because we are working for India. So let's add that. I think we have missed this OCI. This OCI should also be added as an eligible community. So we would like, it can be, I mean, the plaque will say the group of IIT 1983, not me, because I'm an engineer, not an architect. I hardly know about architecture. I've seen architecture. I can appreciate architecture, but I have no education of architecture. So, like something of this kind. I mean, just giving something, or maybe from somebody from some city, somebody from some kind of affiliation. There are a lot of networks which can be created, and that network can come out with something which is time immemorial. I mean, this is something which will be, that is what we are looking for. So let me again acknowledge all those who had contributed to those 126 architectural marbles which we have, which has come in the first round. The second round is starting from today, and I'm looking forward to a great work, which we will have a, I mean, we'll have a difficulty in selecting. And I mean, some of you, this is totally Atmanirbhar Bharat. So our own people, the Indian people, are going to select that also. Our own people are going to get it done also, and we are also going to use our own Indian stuff in making the whole this iconic structure. So I stop here. If somebody has any question, I am very happy to answer. Otherwise, this will be answered by our team, which is working on that CPWD that website. So I close it here, and I would like to thank first Professor PSN Rao. He was for his very kind address, and he has always been very nice. Whenever I have remembered, he has always been coming to help me in doing all this. Mr. Pai, who has been now he heads our Delhi Urban Art Commission, which is now one of the tasks is Urban Art Commission is to have create that kind of art, and this is also one of the art which is going to do. He is the chair, and I think I was introduced to him very recently when he has started chairing our Delhi Urban Art Commission, and everybody who has joined from by different places in today's workshop. Vijay Rao and Sunit, who has done a lot of work in preparing this whole day's, I mean today's this seminar, in launching this particular challenge. So let me thank you all, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Sir, yes, Johan sir, upper mark Dr. Stop.
And other distinguished guests attending the webinar online and offline mode. On behalf of Ministry and Central Public Works Department, I thank the Professor Commissioner or Secretary. He has taken keen interest in organizing this webinar and instead his valuable time for guiding us. We express our heartfelt thanks to him for. I also thank Dr. PSN Rao, Director School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, and Chairman DUAC, Madam D. Tara, Director Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Professor Vijay and Dr. Uday Jayaraj of AICTE for their valuable contribution in training this design brief. So thanks Vijay Prakash Rao, Senior Architect, CPWD, who has worked hard to prepare the design brief and short film. I also thank other dignitaries and participants who have joined from various institutes all across the country in this webinar to online modes. I also thank my colleagues from Ministry and CPWD who have contributed in organizing this webinar. I again request on behalf of Ministry and CPWD to all architects, designers, engineers, students to wholeheartedly participate in design that we can jointly showcase India as a leading country in the world. Once again, thanks to all.
Can close the. Okay, thanks a lot.